We are at the corner of Cathy and Bethune Street in Norco, Louisiana at our Bethune Park ribbon cutting. This project's been a long time coming. For years, the community has wanted to revive the Bethune playground. And what we've done is come in and rebuilt this park from the ground up.
You know, we put new fencing on our ball fields. We added LED lighting to the big field. We actually condensed the big field and created a multi-use field where the old field used to be. That way our kids from flag football, tackle football, and soccer can play and practice. We have 2 new backstops in the back, also serving as a multi-use field where our T-ballers and 7- and 8-year-olds can play and practice. We also added a pavilion that's situated right between our covered basketball court that's actually amazing, and then our new playground that I know people, once they see it, are going to be really impressed. And we added some swings and some seating around the playground. So it really came out really nice. We're so thankful to the community members and Shell for being a part of this wonderful project.
Being here on this site of the former Bethune High School, being able to honor the name, honor the legacy, the beautiful signage that we have here, it's going to make sure that when people come here in the future, that they understand that this was the site of that school, and that there are so many people who have attended the school, and it was so great to have many of those alumni here with us today as we cut the ribbon.
A lot of history in this site. As we've seen earlier, we had alumni from the high school that were here, part of this, which was a great turnout with the community. The other members of the community see that, hey, history and quality recreation can go hand in hand. I think with our monument sign out front, and, you know, the tribute that we're going to do, I think Miss Mary might be smiling down on us today.
So it really came out really nice. We're so thankful to the community members and Shell for being a part of this wonderful project.
This site has a long legacy, a beautiful history of investing in our people in a time when things were very different. A lot of things have changed. And now today, it's an opportunity to reinvest and to create new memories and a new investment in the people of this community.
This final product, what you see here today, was made possible by Shell, and it just goes to show you the importance that our industry partners and businesses play in St. Charles Parish that make things like this possible. There's really still some opportunity out here to make some more incremental improvements, and I hope by working with our council member here, Bob Fisher, and the other members of the Parish Council, the Norco Civic Association, that we'll be able to make those incremental improvements to this park and make it the best it can be. Today we are on CC Road in Muntz, celebrating the groundbreaking of not 1, but 2 pump stations that are going to deliver permanent pumping capacity for our residents. This is a huge project, $33 million investment into permanent pumping capacity in Muntz, going to bring real drainage relief to these residents and families that are living here. You know, with the addition of the infrastructure going in to provide storm surge flood protection between the Corps' West Shore Hurricane Protection Levee and these 2 projects, well over $100 million of infrastructure. But we know that with that comes changes to how water will flow and how water will get out. We knew that we had to do something to make sure that we could always pump out our watersheds here in Muntz, and that's what these 2 pump stations are going to do.
It's a great day for the residents of Muntz and the residents of St. Charles Parish. You know, drainage is up, alive, and moving.
Back when I was with the administration in 2012, Hurricane Isaac decided to grace us with its presence, and unfortunately we had to evacuate Muntz and several homes flooded. And so that's why these particular 2 projects resonate with me.
I have a vivid memory flying over Muntz after Hurricane Ida and seeing Evangeline Road underwater and water spread amongst many houses in the community. I remember going out a few days later and seeing that water was still sitting on this road, keeping people trapped in their homes. That is unacceptable, and there's too many vivid memories that we have of rain events that are doing the same thing. The addition of these new pump stations is going to prevent that from happening.
It is just a tremendous milestone to have both of these pump stations underway at the same time, permitted at the same time.
An availability of pumping capacity that's going to far go into the future. Not so many watersome nights when we have those 3 to 7 inch rainstorms. Being able to assure our residents that drainage is a priority. It always has been.
A lot of people have worked really hard on this project. Sam Sholey in our levy office, our Department of Public Works engineering staff who has put in countless hours reviewing the engineering, GIS, sea level construction, CPRA. I need to make a margarita first before I came with me.
You get started, everyone else will follow you, I'm sure.
Huh?
He used to have a drink and a cigarette and sit around and have a cup too.
30 grams of protein.
How great was it?
It looks like a
It's
margarita.
not a decoration.
Good evening and welcome to the Legislative Committee meeting on Monday, September 8, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers in the Parish Courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. For everyone, please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, looks like Councilman Mobley will be absent for the committee meeting. All right, matters before the committee. 2025-0248, a discussion of the adjacent lot runoff ordinance proposed amendments. Mr. Pillay, can you give us a little synopsis on what we're looking at?
Briefly, we had an ordinance that was passed a few years back, and it's section 7.3, adjacent lot runoff protection is what the name of it is. So a lot of what I'm proposing that we consider is additions to that, so that such that we have a little bit more enforcement capability, that we can go in and do some inspections such that we give more protection to the public, which is all this is about. So there's a markup that should be in your folders, and we can go through that if we wish. There should be also a the section 7.3 should be attached in your folder. But what happens in this particular case, it's this proposed ordinance is written in such a way that the existing text is in black, and the other is in green, and you've got some strike-throughs and you've got some underlines. Basically, the underlines are the additions and the strike-throughs are the deletions. So if you go through it, the first section A has to do with it shall be unlawful for any landowner to cause or allow fill material to be placed upon any lot in a manner which would cause increased runoff of rainwater to any adjacent lot. And drainage must always be designed and built to direct runoff to legal drainage conveyance. And by the way, we had gotten some meetings together, first with legal, Mr. Oob, his staff, then with the administration, Mr. Jewell, Palamone, Michael Albert, and Mr. Bingham. And of course, it was also attended by Michelle Daniels, who had a hand in this as well. So she was able to scribe a lot of the things that we discussed in the meetings. And one of the things that had come up was, excuse me, was the definition of what a legal drainage conveyance was. So, sorry.
Let's go ahead and open it up to public hearing, and then we can come back and go through that. Okay. All right, Mr. Perrier, thank you. File number 2024-0248 is now open for public hearing. If does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Council discussion. Mr. Perrier, I'll back up with you, and then I'll recognize Ms. O'Daniels because she asked to speak.
Okay. So the added parts here, in the introduction, the Department of Planning and Zoning has the authority to enforce compliance of this section. Failure to maintain drainage per the approved plan as set forth in this section is subject to inspection and shall be considered a violation of the building permit as issued and may be subject to enforcement actions. That's just setting the stage as to what we're hoping can be done. The legal drainage conveyance definition defined as 1, an existing or planned ditch, swale, open channel, or canal, or 2, a street curb leading to a storm drain which enters a subsurface culvert conveyance system or ditch or canal. And then the next section really is the same as it always has been. B, fill restrictions that are already more restrictive than this section, such as major subdivision development and commercial construction, shall continue to be regulated by the existing approval procedures specific to those applications. The only words that were added were than this section. The next subsection here, for all residential construction or elevation of primary structures adjacent to properties containing principal buildings, fill may only be added in one of 5 manners subject to review and approval. And the change here is director instead of Department of Public Works. And there are 5 identified manners of protection here. All fill in excess of adjacent properties existing grade shall be completely contained within a solid masonry structure, and none of that structure shall be located within 3 feet of any property line, and remaining area shall be graded and maintained to drain runoff to a legal conveyance, which we've defined. No change in those words. The next one, for lots less than an acre, fill in excess of adjacent properties existing grade shall not be placed within 10 feet of any property line, and a swale of no less than 5 feet wide. That's all existing wording. And added was, and a minimum of 8 inches deep shall be installed, the existing words, shall be installed and maintained to drain rainwater runoff to a legal drainage conveyance. This option is only available if grading for drainage can be accomplished without adding fill within 10 feet of the property line. Existing wording. The next one, we change nothing. And item A, for lots in excess of 1 acre, fill in excess of the adjacent property's existing grade shall not be placed within 15 feet of the property line. The 15-foot area shall be graded to direct water away from all sides not adjacent to a legal conveyance. No change. This one has a change. Number 3, Item, a masonry preliminary perimeter chain wall of sufficient height to prevent overtopping. Those are new words. Sufficient height to prevent overtopping, but not less than 6 inch above the perimeter fill level shall be installed and maintained on all property lines not adjacent to a legal drainage conveyance. The next one, item 4, has not been changed at all. I can read it. A minimum of 3 drainage inlets shall be installed into the rear and side yards as is appropriate for the lot configuration. All added fill shall direct runoff to these inlets. These inlets shall direct runoff to a legal drainage conveyance, swale, street, etc., through PVC piping with a minimum diameter of 4 inches. Drainage inlets shall be maintained and kept free of obstructions. No change in that wording. The following has one change. It used to say any. We changed that to a drainage solution submitted with the stamp of a civil engineer licensed to work in the state of Louisiana and approved by the director of the Public Works, director of the Department of Public Works, or their designee. Then this one additional has been changed pretty significantly, where it said a topographic survey demonstrating the pattern of drainage conveyance is required prior to final occupancy. That is, if you're building a new building. This is added. Prior to placement of fill, the property owner is responsible for providing the Department of Planning and Zoning a proposed drainage plan in accordance with C above. After a technical review by the Department of Public Works, Department of Planning and Zoning shall not notify the property owner of approval or list the deficiencies and modifications required, if any. Final approval of the drainage plan shall be required prior to issuance of a building permit by the Department of Planning and Zoning. Next paragraph, E. This is new. The Department of Planning and Zoning shall ensure compliance with the drainage plan through the following. First, new. Set up procedures for inspections to ensure ongoing construction complies with the approved drainage runoff plans. Any deficiency shall be addressed in writing and provided to the permit holder. Technical guidance, if necessary, will be provided by the Public Works Department. Next, number 2. This is new. Request field inspections by the Public Works Department during construction to confirm conformity with the drainage plan by taking as-built measurements and preparing an ongoing progress report of approval or a list of corrective actions needed to cure deficiencies. The field inspection shall address heights of forms prior to pouring concrete. Next paragraph, 3. Coordinate a final inspection by Public Works Department, including the requirement of a review of, change the word the to a, topographic survey, demonstrating the pattern of drainage conveyance as shown in the approved drainage plan. Public Works shall provide correspondence to Planning and Zoning noting conformity to the drainage plan and approval of the runoff protection prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. And then the last paragraph, set up any additional internal policies or procedures necessary to facilitate the implementation of this section. So those last 4 paragraphs that I've written down here are the newest ones and the most impactful, having to do with the inspection. We also had footnotes to define a few things. Back some previous pages, we had a footnote number 1, if I can find it, having to do with the legal conveyance. That's the Department of Public Works shall confirm the nearest legal conveyance, drainage conveyance. And number 2, what the chain wall is. Chain wall curbing may be incorporated into the slab for a driveway or path for the property interior. And then number 3, having to do with the topographic survey. The note is survey performed by a professional land surveyor or other recognized technical person considered competent to verify and map surface elevations. And that, what that does is it allows for somebody, let's say you have a guy who's a competent GIS type person and he's got the equipment to do surveying, but he's not a licensed surveyor. He's able to map this out and provide elevations very similar to what we have in this parish with the GIS department. So we didn't rule something like that out, or somebody who has competency in that particular task. And that's really what we're trying to kick around today. I know we had some updates of this document from Mr. Albert. I looked back at that, Michael, and I saw some things, and deleted a whole paragraph. So that got changed slightly, and I believe that between Ms. O'Daniels and myself, we kind of fashioned where we thought some of the things you had put together fall into this document. So at this particular point, Ms. O'Daniels, if you have anything to say about this.
Thank you, Mr. Pile. I wanted to talk about this particular ordinance and why we decided to look at it in a more generalized way in order to try to outline what the objective is, and we may not be there yet, but the objective is to let people know that there is a procedure, which I understand from Mr. Albert, there is a procedure concerning this particular ordinance with his department, but to have it outlined, not because we believe that it's not being done, but we want it to be done in the future too. So at this point, we're in a draft mode, but we want to make sure that it carries forward in the future because we think this is important. Now, let me give you an example of the reason why I got involved in this particular problem. I have an elderly couple and a couple other residents that suffer because of adjacent lot runoff after the fact, after construction. And we've talked and tried to figure out a way to alleviate their problem, the fact they're getting flooded by their neighbor, but there's no way for us to help them. So Mr. Pile may have other objectives. Mine is to try to provide some kind of relief after construction for the maintenance of the drainage situation. So to protect people from getting flooded because people aren't handling their private drainage. I don't know whether this is the proper way to do it. However, I think it's something we need to open up the discussion and figure out a way to make sure that once this drainage is established by building permit, that it actually stays maintained versus once it's clogged up, it doesn't do anybody any good. All the hard work that planning and zoning put into it and the parish put into it in the beginning to approve it does that resident no good if it's not maintained. So I guess I'm here to try to figure out how to work out the maintaining part of the ordinance. We had some back and forth, Mr. Albert and I, and the last suggestion by you, which I understand might possibly be in conflict with what the administration would like to see, was a compromise between language that Mr. Pile and I came up with. And everything has been moving pretty fast, so we still have some work to do, but that particular language was acceptable to me, and it is the Department of Planning and Zoning has the authority to enforce compliance of this section. Failure to maintain drainage per the approved plan as set forth in this section is subject to inspection and shall be considered a violation of the building permit as issued and may be subject to enforcement actions. I believe that encompasses the reason why I'm involved in this ordinance, and I appreciate your help and cooperation with this. Thank you.
So I might mention that what I guess spurred me into trying to do something here was there was a house that was built at 131 Villery or whatever, and the adjacent neighbor had an older piece of property. Admittedly, their property probably drained onto 131 until it started building. But then I guess the lady had was flabbergasted and got in touch with the administration and stuff, and finally she got in touch with me. So I went in action trying to get something done that would hopefully protect her. I went over there, I looked at the location. There was a house already built, but the flat work outside was not flat, not at all flat. It was draining away from her house and the new owner's house toward this other lady, and she was hoping that something could be done to protect her. So I was told a bunch of things. Finally, after enough investigation, found out that there was indeed a plan that had been submitted to the parish, and the plan was reviewed, and then it was passed on, and so the contractor was able to go and do what the plan said. I was able to get a hold of the plan. It turned out that the direction of flow was not as identified on that plan. It was away from the building toward this lady's house, and that set off an alarm bell for me. So this got me to thinking, I tried to see if there was a way that the parish could go out and inspect this and try to protect the property owner on the adjacent property using the ordinance, which I'm not sure the lady even knew existed. But I pointed her to that, send it to her, talk with the planning and zoning, talk with the director of public works. And I think that with enough discussion, we were able to get something done that I feel is probably protecting this lady now with a curb on the edge of the driveway. Had that not happened, though, we could have ended up with one of those situations where this water would just be running off. Then you'd have one neighbor just hell-bent on, and being in a fight with their other neighbor. And that's not a good place to put people. So that's what got me to started on this. And after talking with the parish administration, I figured, hey, it's worth trying to see if we can inspect and we can enforce. I talked to South Central Planning on this. Categorically, they said, we don't touch anything having to do with driveways. We only do code enforcement to state code. That makes sense. But long story short, the poor resident that's seeing this water coming to them, to their property, is still concerned as this construction is taking place. So she's saying, well, do we really have a curb? I said, well, I went out there, took a look. You had the forms put together so that you had about, really, it's a 2x4, and that only goes about 5.5 inches. But that's okay. Frankly, in my mind, that would be sufficient. But it says 6 inches in the code. That's okay. In my mind, at least you need the protection. At first, the curb was only about to the center of their house slab. And then after a little bit more discussions and somebody beating on the contractor, they went out and extended it. So all of this stuff in my mind just, it begs a bit more of, inspection, enforcement, which doesn't sound like a lot of effort on anybody's part. I know people in the parish are very strapped for resources and such, but this is the type of thing that the people who elect us call us about. And then we go through a really big do-loop to get something done. Oftentimes it doesn't come out the way we expect. With something like this, I really believe that we got a little bit more teeth, and we can do something about this to protect the residents. And so that's why I did this, and I'm hoping that we can get the language put together that will give the people the proper protection.
Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to say, from the administration's perspective, we have concerns with this ordinance. So, I'm not opposed to some of the changes, the more minor changes that they make in here and clarifying some stuff. I think overall, the existing ordinance, which I will tell you that I was originally not a fan of, but I think the overall original ordinance is working. We have hundreds of houses that go up. We've had hundreds of houses go up since this ordinance has been put in place. And Mr. Pillay, you have a one-off situation. Ms. O'Daniel, you have a one-off situation. I think that the one you're referring to is a commercial property, and maybe we look at the commercial section of code and look at what we need to do there, considering commercial properties are much different. They generally have a lot more non-permeable space, non-porous or non-permeable area, and maybe there is something that we can look at on there. But with on average 100 houses per year, the administration is going to have to dedicate a significant amount of time and resources towards going out, not only for the existing part of this ordinance, which we're doing already. We require a topographic survey. I saw that was moved in the section, but having planning and zoning go out and measure a swale after 2 years because a resident says it's not 8 inches anymore. I mean, I just don't think that's a good use of our time. I don't think that we need to have QAs reviewing these projects as they're being built and ongoing and providing reports. I don't have enough QAs as it is to go out and do the actual drainage projects on the streets within our servitudes and all of the projects that we're getting done now, which they're out inspecting as well. So, and I don't think we need to hire more people to go out and to provide just this service to it. Just like when we give occupancy after South Central Planning has done their work, we don't go back and inspect to make sure that residents didn't move their GFCIs from their kitchen counters and put a different GFCI in. We don't go back and look to make sure that that their insulation is still in the proper places in their attic and stuff like that. And nor do I think that we should go back and continuously look at the drainage in their private drainage on their yard. I see that several people have opted to do chain walls. I think that's great. But I don't think this ordinance is, I don't think that there's enough issue out in the community right now that would require us to make such a drastic change and have all this additional stuff. That's just my 2 cents of it. And that's just from the manpower perspective. That's not considering the civil and liability perspective, where if, let's say, we don't go out and inspect a drainage swale that was formerly 8 inches and we gave occupancy on, let's say for some reason, for some act of God, the home next door floods, and maybe several homes have flooded on the street because they got 7 inches of rain in 2 hours, which we know is possible. And now this homeowner says, well, the reason I flooded is because the swale wasn't 8 inches anymore, and planning and zoning didn't do anything about it. So now I'm suing my neighbor and I'm suing the parish. We are going to get dragged into these lawsuits if this is all a part of this new responsibility that we have. That's just my 2 cents, and that's why we object at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Carmodell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I kind of agree with President Jewell on this one. I've had several in my district where this has come up. And, I mean, our current inspection staff, I mean, what are they going to do? Respond to everyone who says my neighbor's yard is draining to me? It's a lot more than a visual inspection. And when you talk about getting somebody out there to survey civil works, you know, you're not talking about, you know, our daily inspectors. You're talking about having professional civil engineers review this stuff and survey this stuff. And the cost for something like that is just going to be pretty atrocious, I believe. And it's something that's not going to go away. This is something we keep creating every time we build something. We had a whole community of months come here and fight a subdivision because their neighborhood drained into the vacant land that a developer wanted to develop. And we see that a lot where these houses that exist are draining into vacant land, and then when new construction comes in and reverses that flow, it causes a problem. But I think it's a never-ending fight. I do think that it's going to be very, very hard for us to maintain. I see just in my neighborhood where the public servitudes are hard enough to maintain. With our current capacity, it takes a lot of workload. I mean, look at our weekly letters on work that's coming out, just the grass cutting and the upkeep of what we own as a parish. For us to go out there and inspect every swell between every house and fight those battles is going to be very, very hard. So I understand, you know, especially Mr. Pillier with your experience in flooding, that this is a passion of yours, but I just don't know how we can actually take on that magnitude of work.
Thank you, Mr. Carmodell. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you. I think that is the reason why we met with legal prior to bringing it to you guys. We did not want to waste anybody's time on something that we didn't think was possible or viable. When it comes to the civil liability portion of it, I think that the watered down language in comparison to what we had written that Mr. Albert provided provides no shall language. So there's not an absolute for subject to enforcement actions. Further, since it's been indicated it might be budgetary, that would also allow for qualified immunity of the parish on any of those types of things. You don't have the money to do it. You don't have to do it. As far as how it would be implemented, that's why we met with all the department heads having to do with this, anybody that touched on it. And I think we only had a brief meeting, so we weren't able to actually go through exactly what kind of burden this was going to put on the departments. However, I think the issue is strong enough on my part, and I know it's commercial property, but it's similar if it is residential, that there is no solution for certain situations where we approve drainage and then that particular approved drainage then actually floods the house. I'm not talking about just putting it on somebody's land. I'm talking about putting it into people's homes. So I get asked all the time, what is the parish doing? What can they do? The only thing we can do is try to enforce what is put in place, and otherwise this particular ordinance doesn't really have any teeth, and that's my concern. So I don't know whether this language is going to, I mean, everybody's going to say it's too much, it costs too much, but we do a lot of things to protect our residents, and this is one that is not necessarily, super expensive if it's done correctly. And as far as policing it, that language is not in there with any specificity that would enforce the parish to have to police every single piece of land.
Corey or Bobby, this is a question for y'all. Maybe you can answer this. So I'm thinking about the ordinances we have in place for things like derelict vehicles and houses that are derelict. So we have this big process, right? You got to notify them. You got to, give them an opportunity to rectify the situation. If they don't, then you send them a letter from legal saying we're going to take you to court, and then you take them to court. You get the court to schedule a hearing. Maybe the court rules in our favor, and then that gives us the opportunity to go in and take that derelict vehicle out after the appeals period, of course. Or if they, don't fix their structure, that we can come in and, tear down the structure and lien the property. So if this language was adopted and someone who had a swale that over the course of several years filled in, which they tend to do, and I'll say we have a hard enough time keeping track of our own swales, let alone the swales on private property. What would happen? Would we go to a judge and have the judge order them to dig the swale? And if they didn't dig the swale, would we come on the property and dig the swale and then lien the property for the cost of that?
That would be the likelihood. The judges would order them to be in compliance with the ordinance, however way they can do it, whether it's digging the swale or removing whatever material was on the property to get it off there. As you can see, this only applies to fill material. So it's usually going to happen most likely in new construction. All existing construction, it would not take place. But if someone has an existing home and they wanted to add a new driveway, a new flower bed, they're adding fill material, they have to be able to handle their water. So it could become applicable. And if they do so, they'd have to go through this process that's set out here. When it comes to your question of enforceability, yes, the concern from my office would be not necessarily who enforces it, Public Works or Planning and Zoning, but it's having the necessary evidence to bring it to court. We have trouble sometimes with derelict vehicles to prove that the vehicle hasn't moved or doesn't have an inspection sticker, doesn't have a proper registration. That's sometimes difficult when we get into court for our Michael's inspectors. And they have a hard job. They are doing work that people sometimes don't like, although people are complaining. But their guys go out there and they present the evidence. If you ever have a chance, come sit in court for a couple of these hearings, and these guys testify to their entire process, which, to be honest with you, they take a lot of inspections they do to give the owner a chance to comply. After that, though, yes, we send a letter, we file a suit, a lot of service issues. It takes, at best, 9 months to a year if we're lucky to get something even to a judgment phase. Then we wait 67 days for the appeals process and most for new trial time. So we're not enforcing anything as a parish at best for a year and a half after it comes into legal. At that point, if we do have to enforce it, go in, have to dig a swale, have to do things, the cost then gets placed a lien on the property. Sometimes people pay it, sometimes it does get assessed onto the tax rolls to get the property, to get the money back for St. Charles Parish. My concern is just who would be the witness to testify to say, yes, this swale is no longer 8 inches, it's 6 inches. And whose fill was added? Was it the neighbor's fill coming on? Louisiana law allows a mechanism already, a civil mechanism, where neighbors can sue neighbors if this is happening. What this is doing is trying to get the parish involvement to help alleviate neighbors suing neighbors, but it's only passing the burden onto the parish to do that.
So you mentioned a point there. So if I just redid my flower bed earlier this year and I brought in 4 yards of material, so that could cause this ordinance to apply. And who makes that determination? To my knowledge, we don't have a landscaping permit, residential landscaping permit.
if it increases the runoff, so if you did your flower bed and increased the runoff onto me as the neighbor, and I made a complaint to Michael, that
Who makes the
would become
determination? The
question.
neighbor?
Well, if I'm seeing more water coming onto my property after you put your flower bed, I'm making an assumption that it's you that's causing that.
And then what? The parish would have to come out and figure out who's
That's-
right and who's wrong?
That's the question of who I make a complaint to planning and zoning, who would come out and actually do the inspection, look at it, prove that your flower bed is causing this water to come onto my property. What it doesn't address is simple. Some houses add gutters. They don't have gutters on their roofs. They add gutters. They didn't add any fill. Now the gutters are flowing to the neighbor's property. So it's not necessarily fill that may cause the problem. So my only real concern is legally it's the same case for me whether I'm doing a derelict vehicle or I'm doing a abandoned derelict structure. It's the same case. It does take time. My concern is just having the competent witness who can testify that this is actually what's causing this problem for this neighbor so we can enforce it. That's my concern. And I don't know whether that'd be Public Works, Planning and Zoning. I know in Walter, we've had that question about whether South Central could even do this, and they can't.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm gonna, if you may, let me ask the question while I'm in the middle of
Sure.
get to part of it.
Go ahead.
Mr. Albert, I remember working on this. I remember the committee meetings, and I thought we had a good product. And I'm looking at some different things, and some of the one-off questions you and I have had on some of these things. Have we run across where somebody has just totally disregarded this ordinance?
No. No.
We haven't had any of that,
No.
as it's written now.
No, we've had a considerable degree of success where there have been compliance issues along the way. What Mr. Pile referenced earlier, the person and the developer was very responsive in adjusting that chain wall. A lot of these projects are on loans and they need to get that certificate of occupancy so they can get all their mortgage paperwork done. We've had other issues where we've gotten a topo survey back and it effectively failed, and we made them go back and do something else. I think there was one instance where we had someone install 3 drains in the rear yard because effectively what they had shown on their original plans did not work. So we have had success with the ordinance in its current format. I'm not saying there aren't problems or pitfalls, but those are acknowledged during that process. We knew it wasn't a perfect product.
And the topographical survey is required before we give them the certificate, correct? Before South Central Planning says it's all done?
Before we issue the occupancy, that comes from us. The
at the end.
certificate of compliance comes from South Central.
Okay. Mr. Pillion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand the trepidations. I understand the concern about resources and such. This isn't the only one that I had somebody call me about. There was one that was built during this period, after the period where this ordinance was passed, and she claims that it wasn't done correctly. I can't engage and make a determination as to whether it has or has not been. What has to happen is somebody actually who has technical ability. Let's say the Public Works Department goes out there. It's as simple as taking a ruler and looking at the chain wall heights. It's as simple as taking a ruler and put it down there with a 2x4 in a swale and saying, and I'm talking about when you initially do the building, construction. And they can tell in a heartbeat. And I can guarantee you it doesn't take you more than about 20 minutes, and probably including time to get out there in your vehicle. And that's why I think this is a necessary thing to protect people. The focus I had was mostly on new construction. Okay? If you widen this in such a way that you can ask the parish to go out and inspect everything, I don't think that wasn't where I was going. Okay? But I also think that if you have a problem with a property owner who's getting some kind of runoff it's extraordinary, it's not normal and not usual, that we ought to have a means of calling the parish in and inspecting it. And if it's not right, then maybe you have to go down the road of, and trust me, I know how difficult number 2 Oakley's that way. Getting vehicles that are derelict is just, it's a crazy process. Okay, so you may be describing the same total process, but having nothing right now is where we truly are. And I think that this would give some protection to residents that I believe is truly needed. It's always easy for us to say it's difficult to pull this off with our staffing level and such. And I'm not trying to go out and say we shall have the swale inspection force out there to look at everybody's swale. That's not where we're going. But, you know, I think we should have the ability to make sure when somebody's building something, it's done in such a way that we don't end up with the problem long term. That's just where I was coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pillay. Mr. Comdale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to tag on with what you just said, Mr. Walter, my concern is if Michelle's my neighbor and she's dumping water on me or I'm dumping water on her, she complains, first thing I'm going to do is walk out to the ditch in front of my house and see the silt in the culvert and say, well, if the parish would clean that, my water would drain there and it would flow better. And where's the line stop? Okay, so by gosh, for instance, we have a main drainage ditch going to the pump. My neighbor floods me, and I point to them. They can look at every ditch between me and that pump canal and say, well, that one's not clean, this one's not clean. So the water that I'm designed to flow off is restricted by something else. Where do they stop pointing the finger? Because I think a lot of it's going to come back to the parish. It's going to get immediately from my neighbor flooded me to the parish's insignificant drainage flooded me. And that's where it's going to go really fast because I've seen it. We had Mr. Loggins here last year, and he brought it up. And honestly, yeah, the neighbor was flooding him or he was flooding the neighbor. But the ditches all along the railroad track and things like that weren't up to par either. So I'm just concerned about how much of that's going to roll downhill to us. And we're going to be fighting a case where instead of being my neighbor flooded me, it's going to be the parish's drainage is not sufficient and the parish flooded.
Mr. Carmodell, I appreciate your thoughts there, but I believe, though, you're overstating what the reality of the situation is. You can tell in a normal rain if the conveyance is not doing what it's going to, what it has to do. It's when somebody adds something higher than what exists that you have the problem, okay? And so somebody can claim anything they want to claim, but the conveyance downstream isn't what's causing this kind of problem, I assure you. When you're 24 inches or more higher than this adjacent property, you can say all day that you have a problem with the downstream conveyance, but anybody with a bit of sense and a little bit of logic can see right through that. That's my feeling.
I have a question for Mr. Bingham, and I guess it's more or less because your expertise as an engineer. I guess I'm kind of reviving that.
Let's see if I can give you an answer.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's a discussion. Topographical surveys and stuff. And when they do a final grade, and the final grade's in, and it's all graded out right, and then guess what? I don't have enough money to put sod in my yard. How does that affect it? That would be.
So you try and seed it instead of maybe.
Say I seed it instead of sod it.
Well, you're going to get, you can get runoff that can cause you all kinds of rills into the dirt, run dirt into your ditch, filling the nice brand new swale that you just built. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. You can actually sod it and have that happen because the water will get up underneath the sod before it takes and cause some of those problems. So it's not as easy as, getting a nice finished grade. And it takes time to weather in, so to speak.
But the way this ordinance is written right now, if I provide both planning and zoning and you with a topographical survey that shows my property is all graded right, you can give me my certificate of occupancy and I can move in.
Well, I'm gonna make a comment on that. You could give me a topographical survey that shows me that everything's perfect, and I go out there and look at it and realize it's not. Because you just took all the points in the right place, so that you got what looks like a nice survey, rather than what is really there.
Got it. Okay. Ms. O'Daniels.
Mr. Bingham, who does go look at it afterwards? There's nothing in the ordinance as it stands that there's any type of inspection prior to occupancy. So could you fill me in on what the department does to inspect after receiving the topographical survey?
Well, I think the parish president pointed some of that out. My staff is we try and get out and view these things when we're asked to. Sometimes we don't get asked at all. Sometimes we do get asked. We go out and we make comments, and they never get implemented. I do not have the staff to chase people around town trying to make sure that everything is done perfectly. I just don't have that size of staff. And we're covering a lot of other different things, construction projects, and my QA staff is spread very thin, right? And my engineering staff is only a couple people. So we're not going to chase people around saying, oh wait, we didn't get a call from the guy at 208 Boyd Street. We're not going to get that, and chase that person down to find out what they finished or didn't finish. And I'm sorry, that's just a matter of fact. We already have too much to do.
Right. That's the impression that I'm getting. So yes. So what I'm looking at here is, and I think Mr. Pile as well, is trying to look at some type of procedure to streamline that. If in order to, you made the point. You said that you can have a topographical survey, but yet in practicality it doesn't work. So what we're asking is that if we work with the departments in order to get some type of procedure in, so it is a smooth process and isn't so burdensome to be waiting or not knowing, or maybe it just passes on to occupancy and you have no idea that anybody wanted an inspection. So is there some way we can work with the departments to streamline this and provide some kind of safety net for the process itself in order to ensure the integrity of the process? And that doesn't need to be answered right now, but that's all we're asking.
Okay.
May I just briefly, we've never had any issue asking for the parish engineers or the EITs to look at these. So I don't know if you're aware of how often they do go out, but we've never had any issue with making those requests. I know. I'm just saying that we have a good working relationship with them, and it's never come up as a problem for us.
I was never trying to intimate that my staff doesn't go out when they're. But you're adding a lot of extra work here, and that's what I'm talking about. And you'll overwhelm the staff that I do have, and there is no problem with the working relationship between planning and zoning and public works. In fact, I think we've actually improved it during this administration because of the fact that we've got people that want to work together. So
I did not
wasn't
intimate
making
any problem between the departments, and I know we're adding some things, but you're the one that pointed out the example that is our concern, is that you would receive a piece of paper that doesn't necessarily work in practicality. So we're just trying to say, can we work something out to ensure that new construction, I'm talking about going back in time, but new construction, is there some way to confirm that what you see on paper is actually in practice? That's all. You don't have to answer it now.
The answer to that question is you send people out to actually do a full-scale physical inspection. You could see what I'm talking about, but if you get a piece of paper, as I said, if you get a survey, and that I'm just going off of the survey, that survey does not necessarily give me everything I need.
And I think that's our
you
point.
need a visual inspection.
Thank you.
Mr. Jewell.
No, that's it. I was just going to give Mike the opportunity to speak.
Okay. All right, Mr. Pillay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hear all of this. Again, I think that, the spirit of what I'm trying to see done is to protect the individuals, all right, particularly the people who are building something. I know Ms. O'Daniels has some other issues with ongoing inspections, but I don't know that we should overstate the amount of time necessary to go out there and take a look at something. I really don't think you should. You know, it doesn't take as much time as people are trying to make it out to be, right? Seriously. You know, if somebody's got, you know, this one particular one, the one that has a slab that he's got it formed up, and he's got the boards on the outside that is going to form up the curb, and it takes you maybe 5 minutes once you hit the site to make a measurement, maybe. And that's all I'm asking. You know, a swale, I guarantee you, you know, put a 2x4 across and put a ruler, and that's all you need to do. That's it. I mean, to overstate the amount of time is to me is just not what we should be doing in the interest of protecting the people. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Jewell.
you.
Look, I don't think we're trying to overstate anything. The fact of the matter is that, and I suggest one day you take a ride with some of our guys who are out there. You go out to a job, you go to look at something. The neighbor comes out, he comes and grabs you. Come look at this. I want to show you this down the street. You get caught up with that. You know, so a 20-minute job turns into an hour. And it happens all the time. I'll tell you a perfect example. My wife sends me to the grocery store to go get bread and milk. I come back 2 hours later because everybody in the grocery store has grabbed me and needs something and everything else like that. It's the same type of scenario. But this happens all the time when our guys go out. And Lewis is a great example of this. He goes out and does something, and he gets grabbed by someone else. Hey, can you come look at that? And our employees, being servants of the people, will go and work with those residents and do what they need to do. So I don't think we're trying to overstate it or exaggerate it, but if you add up the man-hour time, and remember too the fact that we're going to get complaints from non-new construction type stuff once this ordinance goes into effect. You're going to get complaints from, and he had a swale, but it's gone now, and you know this ordinance, you need to be doing this, and then you're gonna have to go out and explain that, oh well, this doesn't actually involve you. This doesn't apply to this. You know, it only applies to new construction. And I just want to reiterate some of the things in here. I'm not opposed to. You know, a minimum of an 8-inch depth. I'm okay with the swale being 8 inches. Of sufficient height to prevent overtopping, but not less than 6 inches. I'm okay with some of that language in the clarification of the definition of what a official official drainage servitude is, or drainage a legal drainage conveyance. I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is this construction reporting during the process and the continuation of the enforcement thereafter. But I think that what we have right now, which is in place, some of the changes that you have here will be better in helping clarify that. But I just don't want to make it seem like I'm against everything that's in this ordinance. It's just the enforcement side and the the planning and zoning going out during, or public works going out during construction to confirm conformity. I think that if they do go out, and it sounds like they are going out to confirm conformity at the end, and at the end of the day, if they're not in conformity when these folks are done, they're not getting their occupancy. And Michael gave you a great example of a scenario where they had to go back and make a change before they would get their occupancy. That's the carrot that gets people to comply in that issue. I just don't believe that we should be going back after that time and time again to make sure that what we told them to do is still in place. Otherwise, if that's what y'all are interested in as a council, just take everything else out of the ordinance and say everybody has to put a chain wall up, and we just walk away. Put the chain wall up, we inspect it, and then we never come back because the chain wall is good. We know it's going to be there. I doubt they would tear that out.
Give me 1 second. Thank you, Mr. Jewell. 1 second. Mr. Daniels, I have a motion.
I have a motion to conclude this discussion and move to the next item.
Okay.
Good.
I have a motion by Mr. Daniels, a second by Ms. Skiba. All right. Is there any other council discussion on that? Fine. Do we need to vote, or can we just move on? I think we can just move on if we all agree.
Amen.
Yes. All righty. Okay. So next on our agenda is 2025-0250, a discussion of private parking ordinance that allows property owners and businesses to restrict parking and obtain private towage of cars in violation. Ms. O'Daniel, you submitted it. Could you give us a quick summary, please?
All right, in the 6 minutes we have left, I want to go ahead and introduce the idea that St. Charles Parish does not have a no parking ordinance in compliance with, we don't have any guidance for our residents if they have a parking problem on their property. I have a particular incident, of course, in my district involving a piece of property that legal's been working very hard to clear. The issue came up with, once they clear that property, what's going to be the best way for them to keep that property clear, as they have some people that don't listen to the no parking. So the state law provides that you can remove a vehicle from your property at your expense at any time if it's improperly parked there. However, there's provisions in state law that allow for parking signage and certain statements on the signage, including where it's being towed, and ordinance language, in order to allow someone to erect a sign to have that particular violating vehicle be moved at the vehicle owner's expense. And that's what I'm geared up towards, trying to come up with something. But in our parish, of course, the signs are regulated by the Department of Planning and Zoning. So I would like to work with the Department of Planning and Zoning to come up with some sign regulations that aren't nearly as obnoxious as Jefferson Parish. Jefferson Parish is just completely, it goes on. And I don't want anything complicated, but I also know we don't want everybody to have parking signs popping up in every lot, or on residential, for instance. So I would like anybody from the council to kind of give me some feedback, since we're all together, on the idea of having a parking sign allowing for towage at the expense of the vehicle that's in violation. Any thoughts?
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. File number 2025-0250 is open for public hearing. If anyone would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Only comments I have on this, I don't agree with it for the residential side. Like you said, you can already get someone towed as is, and if they want to go get their car out of the impound, they're going to go pay to get it out. All of the ordinances that I've seen in other parishes are specifically for the commercial side. And so I'm not opposed to it on the commercial side, but there should be some stipulations about the signage and stuff you said earlier. So I'm not opposed to that. I'm just opposed to the residential side. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Pillia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Following what Mr. Jewell said, I was notified by somebody that's our code enforcer in planning and zoning that he was able to put some signs up over by Armand in the Winn-Dixie parking lot, where the barbecue place is. Apparently, every now and then, people go out there and they start trying to sell their cars by sitting them out there. But apparently, took it upon himself and went out there and got a sign put up. Kudos to him, by the way. But that has to do with commercial. And so I support that. And I understand what Ms. O'Daniels is trying to do, because she's got some tough customers out there. So I just thought I'd say that I'd be in favor at least drilling down on this some more. Thank you.
I do have one, and I think, and I'll come to you in just 1 second. And maybe, Michael, you would be the one. So on Thomas Colby, on the property we own on Thomas Colby, and a property we own on Ducaye. Yeah. What signs do we have up there? Because that's a no parking. No parking.
That's not good
sign.
enough.
And
No parking, and they still park.
They still park. Okay. So is there a provision in our code already for that?
No.
Mr. Palamone went as far as to put chains between the signs. They first started out with 2 signs, then they ended up with like 5 signs on one of the lots, and they were still parking, so he went and put chains in between the signs.
Enforcement's the only thing that works. Yeah. Speed limit signs tell people how fast to drive, and we know those, red lights, people run them. It's just, a sign is a sign.
Ms. O'Daniels.
All right, I think based on my research, no parking just a no parking sign is not enough to have a car towed and have it at that person's expense, the vehicle owner's expense. That technically would go to the property owner's expense. And I'm trying to shift that burden to the vehicle owner, the person that's improperly parked. And I think we're guided by state law that we have to actually provide information on those signs of where the car ends up and those kinds of things. And that's what I want to work with the department on, that to give people guidance if they want to erect something like that, what needs to be contained on the sign.
Alrighty, so it being 5:59, I don't know if we're going to get to the third item on our agenda. So, can I get a motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Mr. Commandell, second by Mr. Bruyere. Please cast your votes. Okay, and that passes unanimously. You're officially. Oh, with Mr. Mobley absent. So, thank y'all. It was a very delightful community meeting. A lot of good discussion.
I don't know, I don't want to lie to you, so I ain't gonna give you a date. Bring it first week, you haven't built anything. Everybody, the fields is closed, just
Oh, well then you want to sit in the middle? I have to do something. And I have to do that. No, I think
Thank you.
You mean to the chat?
Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer led by Miss Mary Engler and the Pledge of Allegiance from Miss Deidre Fauché from the Daughters of the American Revolution.
I invite you to pray in your faith tradition as I pray in mine. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, who is all wise and loving, on behalf of all who are gathered here this evening, we thank you for your many and abundant blessings and graces. We thank you for our lives and the lives of our families and fellow citizens. We thank you for the health you have given us, the recognition through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit of our purpose in life, and our need to respond faithfully and lovingly to your call to discipleship. Thank you for our ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing the responsibilities that lay before us. Thank you for your gift of freedom, rooted in our free will, to choose to do good and to do what is right and just before you. Thank you for loving us as we come together tonight. You've taught us that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you've established authority for the purpose of order, justice, and peace. Therefore, we pray for all the officials, council members, and public gathered here tonight, and ask that you graciously grant everyone wisdom to govern amid conflicting interests, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for peace and justice, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to unselfishly work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in the lives of the men and women assembled here to carry out their tasks with joy. We pray for the agenda set before them tonight, that carrying out the work and decisions of this body would benefit those who live and work in and around our community. Finally, we ask our Blessed Mother, whose birthday feast the Church celebrates today, to wrap her mantle of peace and protection around all assembled here today and the wider community which they serve. And we ask all of this in the most holy name of Jesus, your Son and our Savior.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Engler and Ms. Fauché. Approval of the minutes. A motion and a second are needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of August 18th. Motion by Councilwoman Skiba, second by Councilman Carmerdale. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously with Councilman Mobley absent tonight. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. File number 2025-0249, proclamation, Constitution Week. Councilwoman Skiba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proclamation. Whereas our founding fathers, in order to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their posterity, did ordain and establish a Constitution for the United States of America. And whereas the Constitution of the United States, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law, not by man. And whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention in 1787, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law Number 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through September 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week in St. Charles Parish, and hereby urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. Be it further resolved, we, the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby commend the 7 New Orleans District 4 chapters of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, chapters Bayou Lafourche, Francois de Leary, New Orleans, Spirit of 76, St. Tammany, Vieux Carré, and the German Coast chapter for their patriotic programs commemorating the occasion, and to express gratitude for the privilege of American citizenship in our republic, functioning under that superb body of laws, the Constitution of the United States. And we have Sabrina Phillips and members of the Daughters of American Revolution here to accept.
Hi, good evening. The Daughters of the American Revolution was founded on October the 11th in 1890 by Mary Smith Lockwood and 3 other ladies as a way to express patriotism and preserve the American history during a time they were excluded from men's patriotic societies. The organization was incorporated by a congressional charter in 1896 and is dedicated to promoting historic preservation, education, and patriotism through community service and recognizing Revolutionary War patriots. The German Coast chapter was founded in November 5th of 2023. We currently have 27 members, and we meet on the 3rd Thursday every month, usually at the Destrehan Library. And we also have a Facebook page if you would like to follow us, the German Coast chapter. And my family came here in the 1700s. I am a Scheck Snyder from Hornville, and they fought in the Revolutionary War with Galvez, and we were granted a Spanish land grant, and my family still lives on that property today in Hornville. So we have a very long history in the parish. Thank you.
You all can come up. Yes.
You want us to come up? Okay. You'll take a picture. You'll send it to us?
Yeah, they're going to post it.
Y'all might have to get a little bit closer. Is there any way we can get more people on this side, please? That's not bad. Maybe one more. Get this down. One more. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ladies. File number 2025-0251 in recognition, Waterford 3 Steam Electric Station 40th year anniversary. Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The Parish of St. Charles, September 8th, 2025, in recognition, whereas Waterford 3 Steam Electric Station has proudly served the residents of St. Charles Parish, the state of Louisiana, and the Gulf Coast region for 40 years, providing safe, reliable, and carbon-free electricity since commencing commercial operations in 1985. And whereas Waterford 3's clean, reliable generation supports Entergy's commitment to achieving net zero emissions by 2050 within interim goals of 50% rate reduction by 2030 and 50% carbon-free energy generation capacity by 2030. And whereas Waterford is a cornerstone of energy resilience in Southeast Louisiana, playing a vital role in meeting the power needs of nearly 500,000 customers and contributing to grid stability during periods of peak demand and extreme weather events. And whereas Waterford 3 employs more than 800 employees and contractors who have demonstrated a commitment to operational excellence, nuclear safety, emergency preparedness, and professional standards, exemplifying the spirit of public service and technical leadership. And whereas Waterford 3 has maintained a strong and ongoing partnership with St. Charles Parish community, providing local jobs, supporting charitable organizations, investing in STEM education, and preparing future generations through workforce development initiatives. And whereas 2025 marks the 40th anniversary of the plant's operation and 100th anniversary of Entergy's serving the state of Louisiana, a milestone that honors the legacy and achievements of its employees and the plant's significant role in Louisiana's energy future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council, and the Parish President, do hereby congratulate Waterford 3 Steam Electric Station on their 40th anniversary. And I think we have our CEO of Entergy, Mr. Philip May, and some of his executive team here to accept this as well.
Philip's coming up now.
We'll come and take. I'd like to invite also my CAO, Mike Palamone, who actually worked on that project way back in the day. Then we're going to go take a picture real quick.
That's great.
Go ahead.
Right, on behalf of the employees at Waterford 3, I want to thank the council and you, Mr. President, for this proclamation. For 40 years, the Waterford 3 staff has provided safe, reliable energy to Louisiana and especially the residents of St. Charles Parish. This recognition honors the generations of employees whose professionalism and commitment to excellence have made this possible. Among them is Giselle Crochet, who has dedicated 42 years of service to Waterford and joins us today receiving this recognition. As Louisiana's first operating nuclear power plant, we are proud to call St. Charles Parish home. We remain committed to the values of safety and reliability that have guided us for the last 40 years, and we look forward to many years to come. Thank you all very much.
All right. File number 2025-0252, Proclamation, King Cat Fishing Tournament Weekend. Councilwoman Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The River Parish Tourist Commission will be hosting its annual King Cat Fishing Tournament in St. Charles Parish, September 19th through the 20th, 2025, with local events taking place in Lac des Allemands, Lake Salvador, and the Mississippi River, I-10 from Baton Rouge to Venice. And whereas teams of 3 compete on a national level in local qualifier events, which draw in more competitors and also brings in competitors that otherwise would not compete in tournament fishing. To encourage further family involvement, a fourth person on a team who is under 16 or over 65 is allowed at no charge. And whereas the tournament will also host a King Kids Fishing Rodeo to be held in the Bonnie Carris Spillway on Saturday, September 20th, 2025, where all kids ages 15 and under are welcome. Participants will have their names entered into a scholarship drawing at the end of the year. And whereas the tournament's final weigh-in site will be held at the Bonnie Carris Spillway Boat Launch Pavilion on Saturday, September 20th, 2025. Now therefore, be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and a parish president do hereby proclaim Friday and Saturday, September 19th through the 20th, 2025 as King Cat Fishing Tournament Weekend in St. Charles Parish, and urge our citizens to join in for a weekend of fishing, fun, and festivities with the perfect blend of outdoor excitement and community celebration. We have Miss Denise Burrell here.
Oh, I did not mean to do that.
Use that one.
You're welcome to say a few words.
Just something quick. Thank you very much. On behalf of the River Parishes Tourist Commission, thank you for this proclamation recognizing King Cat Tournament Trail Weekend. This is our third year hosting the tournament in St. Charles Parish with our partners at St. Charles Parish Parks and Recreation and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This growth has been remarkable. So being our third year in 2023, we welcomed 7 boats and 17 anglers from 8 states. In 2024, that number jumped to 35 with 82 anglers. That's a 400% increase in participation. So we're definitely looking for 2025 to be bigger and better than last year. And as Councilwoman Wilson shared, there is the King Kids event that will be held that morning. So just encouraging everyone to come out. They have allowed for 10 spots to be exclusively set aside. The cap is 50 teams, but they've allowed for 10 spots to be set aside exclusively for local anglers that they may take part. So definitely registration is open. You can visit www.kingcatusa.com to register. Thank you.
All right, thank you. File number 2025-0253, Proclamation, National Child Passenger Safety Week and National Seat Check Saturday. Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Every year, thousands of children are tragically injured or killed in motor vehicle crashes. Many times, death and injuries can be prevented by proper use of car seats, boosters, and seatbelts. And whereas today, all states and United States territories have child passenger safety laws that require child safety seats for infants and children fitting specific criteria which vary by age, weight, height, and height of the child. And whereas research has shown that car seats reduce the risk of fatal injuries for infants and toddlers, and they are most effective when installed and used correctly. That is why St. Charles Parish is committed to working closely with safety advocates to ensure that children arrive safe and alive. And whereas the goal is to educate parents, and caregivers about the best way to keep children safe while traveling, no matter how short or how long the trip. And whereas in Louisiana, child passenger safety fitting stations may be found statewide with over 600 nationally certified child passenger safety technicians available to make sure your child's safety seats are installed properly. And whereas St. Charles Parish encourages all residents and parents and caregivers to take advantage of this service to make sure that their children are in the right seats for their age and their size, and that seats are installed properly. To locate an inspection station in your area, please go to www.lahighwaysafety.org or call your local fire department. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim September 21st to the 27th, 2025 as National Child Passenger Safety Week, and proclaim September 27th, 2025 as National Seat Check Saturday in St. Charles Parish, and urge all citizens to help reduce injuries and the tragic loss of life by buckling up themselves and their children on every trip, every time. Here to accept is Mr. Wayne Duval.
I want to thank Madam Chair and the council and Parish Jewel for honoring and giving us this proclamation. And just as he said, there are a lot of children who unfortunately lose their lives because they're in the wrong seat. One of the biggest things is go to these sites and make sure your child is in the right seat. Most of them will have a seat that they can exchange out for you. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
File number 2025-0254, proclamation, Alligator Weekend in St. Charles Parish. In recognition, Mr. Chad Dufresne, Mr. Alligator. Proclamation, whereas St. Charles Parish, the St. Charles Rotary Club will sponsor its annual Alligator Festival September 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th, 2025, and whereas the festival has grown in popularity every year and continues to attract people to St. Charles Parish to enjoy a weekend of delicious food and live entertainment. And whereas the festival helps to publicize the economic and nutritious aspects of the alligator. And whereas proceeds from this festival benefit college scholarship funds awarded to area high school students. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim September 25th through 28th, 2025, as Alligator Weekend in St. Charles Parish, and encourage all citizens in the parish to attend the festival at the St. Charles Parish West Bank Bridge Park. Be it further resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, on behalf of the members of the St. Charles Rotary Club, do hereby proclaim Rotary Club President Chad Dufresne as Mr. Alligator. And we have Chad here to accept, and I'd also like to invite other Rotary Club members to come join us in the picture.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and the council. I want to thank the council for the ongoing support of the Alligator Festival. So the first festival was in 1980. I remember attending as a 13-year-old. So I'll tell you how old I am. But it was the vision of a couple Rotarians that thought it would be great to find a way to support high school students in the area with scholarships. And also, it happened to be around the time that the alligator came off the endangered species list. So they wanted to have live alligators or hunted alligators on purview at the festival. So it was a small event back then. Here we are 45 years later. It'll be September 25th through the 28th. We expect to have hopefully over 20,000 people through the gates on those 4 days. And at this point, we've given over $1 million in scholarships since 1980. And our annual outlay for those scholarships is north of $50,000. And we give 10 scholarships, 4-year and vocational school. So we encourage all the residents of the parish and beyond to come out and have a good time. And I'm guaranteed the weather will be good. I got a direct line to Santa Claus. I've asked for a good cool front, make us comfortable. So again, thanks. We appreciate the proclamation.
Thank you. File number 2025-0255, Proclamation, National Hunting and Fishing Day. Councilman Carmerdale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whereas National Hunting and Fishing Day was created in 1972 when Congress passed 2 bills establishing a specific day to celebrate the conservation contributions of our nation's hunters and anglers. And whereas hunters and anglers have contributed more than $20 billion for wildlife and habitat conservation since 1937, with the purchase of license, stamps, tags, fees, and through self-imposed excise taxes on hunting, shooting, archery, angling equipment, boating fuel, and travel. From the waters of the Gulf Coast to the mountain ranges that reign over the West, American adventurers are supporting thousands of jobs and contributing to wildlife management in all states. And whereas sportsmen and women are our nation's most committed conservationists, hunting and fishing are premised on respect for wildlife and a formidable beauty of the natural world. It keeps our waters stocked, our forests healthy, ensuring that our country's public and private lands continue to provide both subsistence and sport for future generations. And whereas we would like to take the opportunity to commend hunters and anglers for their efforts on behalf of wildlife and their contributions to conservation, we encourage all citizens to experience the wonders of the great outdoors and learn responsibilities of hunting and fishing. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby proclaim Saturday, September 27th as National Hunting and Fishing Day in St. Charles Parish and urge all citizens to recognize the important contributions of American hunters and anglers and all those who work to conserve our fish and wildlife resources. And Dr. Brogel is not here, so we'll mail the proclamation to him. Thank you.
Reports, Finance and Administrative Activities. File number 2025-0256, Hospital Service District. And we have Mr. Keith Dacus here to present our report.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and Parish Council, President Jewell. Thank you all for letting me come in a couple of minutes. I've got a couple of slides to go through and happy to answer any questions that you might have. Couple of statistics that I just wanted to show you here. Overall, as you can see on the graph, things are going well at the hospital. A lot of growth, a lot of progress, a lot of improvements that we're doing at the hospital. Our discharges are up about 10% over last year at about 1,300. Our ambulance runs are right at budget. What we ran last year, a little over 3,800 runs so far to date. Surgeries have continued to increase. We're at about 1,300 to date. And our primary care visits, we broke a record this past month, and we're now a little over 11,000 primary care visits at the hospital. Our specialty visits are also breaking records, so a little over 19,000 specialty care visits so far this year. Our ER volume is the only one that's a little bit down. It's down 174 visits. But we actually think that's a good thing because what we've seen is an increase in our primary care visits. ER visits are going down. We're still admitting at the same rate of about 9% of people that come through the hospital, which tells us the right people are getting into the ER. We got a couple of new services that we brought to the hospital as well. So 4 new services that we have on Luling. Endocrine surgery, neurology, pediatrics. This is actually our first pediatric practice on the West Bank, so really excited about that. It's kind of a little bit special to us as well. Dr. Megan Luke has joined our practice. Dr. Luke is the granddaughter of Dr. Vial. If y'all know, Dr. Vial started the hospital, so it's a really good welcome home for her. And our last one that we've started this past year was pulmonology. We've also added 8 new providers to our Luling campus. And then in Destrehan, we've added 1 new service there, 1 new provider there as well. So that brings our total up to 55 providers throughout St. Charles Parish Hospital through primary care and specialty care. A couple of the things that we're doing from a clinical side and continue to grow. We have 7 ambulances, East Bank and West Bank, Sprint vehicles, taking care of that a little over 3,400 runs that we have every year. Also, one of the ones that I'm really excited about that'll be starting is our surgery. It's in a phase 1 project right now, where we're renovating our pre and post areas and actually expanding that. We're doing a lot more same-day surgeries. So your ortho surgeries, you're able to come in, get a total hip, a total knee, a total shoulder, and you're going home that very same day. So it's great for us that we're able to create some more room and have some capacity that we can do some more of these. Doing a lot of eye surgeries, have ophthalmologists and optometrists here in Destrehan to be able to better serve you. And then really excited, the hospital just got the Joint Commission Acute Stroke Ready Hospital designation. So this was our reappointment for the second year. The hospital is actually operating at the next level up, so really excited about the things that we're doing there. So door to needle time in less than 35 minutes. Really exciting because we're able to get the patients, get them taken care of in our facility. And some of the clinical programs that we have brought, I know we've talked a couple of times about the partnership that we have with our local fire departments, that we are training them. They're actually under our medical directorship care, so the same protocols and same procedures that we have at the hospital, the training that we have, we're providing that to our local fire departments as well. So whoever's on site, whether it's EMS or fire or police, are kind of getting the same training and know how to handle these patients. Virtual care is expanding. Of course, we do a lot with our phones these days, but we're also expanding our virtual care inside of our ED. So we now have an EICU inside of our ED. So any patients that come in critical care needs, we can connect back to Ochsner's EICU and have a critical care trained physician put eyes on that patient. The high def cameras that we have on there are very precise. You can actually zoom in and see the hair follicles on your head. They're so precise. Some of the new improvements just kind of around the facility. We will be opening our new Cancer Institute clinic on the 2nd floor of the Luling campus. We have a new physician that has joined us and a new APP that will be joining us next week. So really excited about that. That should open up right at the end of October. And then, of course, parking. Parking is always a challenge. I'm really happy to say we're combating that. We have a lot more parking now at the hospital, so hopefully you can park really close to the front door, get easy in, easy out. One of the other projects that you probably saw on the other slide was our Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. So on the north side of the campus, this is some construction that you'll see that's going on right now. This is an intensive outpatient program for behavioral health and wellness. What it does is it provides group therapy. So you see there we have 3 different classrooms, treatment rooms, exam rooms, and a common space. We're also building this with an outdoor therapy center. What we find is a lot of the group therapy, we can do them outside, nice weather. It helps with the behavioral health and wellness side. I also like to say thank you to everybody that came out to our ribbon cutting for our new education and simulation lab. This is a regional center where we are training EMTs, paramedics, nurses, PCTs, to the tune of about 400 people annually will be coming through our training center. We have real-life mannequins, robots that you might have seen our article in the Herald Guide talk about. it's really exciting that we're able to provide some real life training to our nurses in an environment where they can learn, right? And they don't have the complications or challenges around other things going on around them. Gives them a safe environment to learn. And then earlier this summer, we had our 3rd annual STEM Pathfinders, where it's a week-long training session where we had 12 sophomores and juniors from local high schools come through and train, learn about STEM, learn about healthcare. We have a lot of people that started out at the beginning of the week, didn't really know what they wanted to do. And through the end of it, we had 3 different people wanting to sign up for pediatricians, lab technicians, and ultrasound technicians. So really excited to be able to grow our next generation of healthcare leaders. And then last, just like to say thank you all for your support. If you see us out in the community at any of these events, please grab us, grab me. Tell me how we're doing. I'd love to hear feedback from you all and see what we can do to be better. With that, I'll stop and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Keith. I joined the hospital board last year, and I can remember a time over a decade ago when I was with the administration when the hospital wasn't doing so well. And under Ochsner's management over the last 10 years, the hospital has really prospered and is doing well. So I'd like to thank you and the other Ochsner staff who are doing such great work at our hospital, and also the other board members who we meet monthly, and we definitely take close looks every month at how the hospital's doing and keep tabs on it, and it's doing really well.
Wonderful.
Thank you
Madam
very
Chair.
much.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Got it. File number 2025-0257, Department of Legal Services, and we have Mr. Coryu here to report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The St. Charles Parish Department of Legal Services is one of the administrative departments established by the Home Rule Charter. Currently, we operate as myself as the director, Mr. Robert Raymond as the assistant director. We have 3 paralegals, which most of you know of. You interacted with them on occasion. Ms. Dawn Higdon, Ms. Sarah Rainey, and Ms. Madeline Fisher. We also have our legal assistant, Ashley Musso, who provides a lot of help with planning and zoning matters and other legal matters as well. We also, as a department, oversee risk management. So we work on a day-to-day basis with risk management in safety, in implementing our policies and procedures for the parish, but also just looking at insurance and other matters, as well as still wrapping up some of the Hurricane Ida matters, which is probably going to be wrapped up in the next couple of months, which will be good to report to you. But overall, we do that with risk management as well. With regard to the department, we advise both the parish president and the St. Charles Parish Council. So it's unique that we do have overlap between both sides of the government, and it's worked well over the past several years with being able to communicate on both sides to get things finished in a timely manner. We work on different ranges from public records requests is a big part of our workflow, as well as planning and zoning matters. We work on a day-to-day basis with public works, waterworks, reg department, and all contracts, public bids, even our professional services contracts. As many of you know, over the past, 2 years, we've implemented a CLM software with DocuSign, which has streamlined our contract management system for the parish. Our departments are able to log into the system, get template contracts, which are approved by the administration and each department and legal, and then quickly work through those contracts in order to be quicker to get it to the council, in order to get bids out quicker, to advertise things quicker. So I found over the past year that's been probably one of the biggest achievements from IT, legal, and the administration is to implement that program. And we're actually looking with procurement right now on implementing other programs which may take over the CLM process that not only helps with procurement, but also manages our documents with council for deadlines, when contract expires, when we need to terminate contracts. Primarily, I'd have to say our biggest workload is with public works and planning and zoning. Probably the most day-to-day phone calls we get is with planning and zoning, violations, code of violations, abandoned derelict vehicles, derelict structures, and day-to-day violations from planning and zoning. We work my staff and Bobby's staff work day to day with the code enforcement inspectors to ensure compliance. I can say probably those legal issues over the past year, we've opened up 125 new files been opened up this year just in planning and zoning. So it tells you the amount of work that the inspectors are doing. The good news is that when we open up these files, the vast majority are resolved simply through letters to the owners. They get into compliance, or they call us and they work to get into compliance. But there are some, as you know, as council members, you know that we have to file litigation on it. It is a timely process, but we do things to make sure that we obtain judgments that allow the residents their due process, but allow the parish to enforce those judgments to make sure our ordinances remain in compliance. We also handle all litigation, defense litigation for St. Charles Parish, which means litigation involving any of our slip and falls in our premises, any accidents, unfortunately, involving our employees. This year, we've opened up, I believe, 4 new litigation files, a total of probably about 10 to 12, 10 to 15 that run on a yearly basis, which we work hand in hand with our insurance carriers to ensure that St. Charles Parish gets the best resolution to those cases. If you have any questions for myself or Mr. Raymond, we're both here today. We'll be glad to answer any. Unfortunately, we can't talk about specific cases, as you know, but from time to time, feel free to call the parish if you have any concerns, parish attorney's office if you have any concerns, and we will address those with regard to whatever problems or violations you see happening in your districts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yu. File number 2025-0258, Parish President Remarks Report. Parish President Jewell.
Okay, first we will start with our ribbon cutting ceremony for Bethune Park. We recently celebrated the ribbon cutting of a newly renovated Bethune Park. This is located at 301 Bethune Street in Norco. This marks the first major renovation in more than 25 years at this site, which includes a new basketball court, which is covered, a brand new playground, a new pavilion, new lighting around our baseball fields, new fencing, new sail shades, new bleachers, improved drainage, and obviously signage honoring in remembrance of the Bethune High School that was there from 1952 to 1969. These renovations are possible thanks to Shell Norco's generous contribution of $500,000 that allowed us to purchase the additional playground equipment and cover the basketball court. Over to Muntz Pump Station number 1 and number 2, we made history the other day when we broke ground on these 2 pump stations that are being built simultaneously in the Muntz community. This is going to be the first ever permanent pumping stations in this area. This is a $32 million investment in drainage and flood protection, with $10 million of that being provided by the CPRA. This is going to more than triple the pumping capacity that Muntz has right now, as they currently have a temporary station. So sea level construction has begun work on sheet pile at Muntz 1 and doing clearing and grubbing at Muntz 2. The project is expected to last approximately 18 months. I do want to say, since we have our Entergy folks, a thank you and a shout out, especially to you, Philip, for working with me to get the cost of the infrastructure needed to run the 9 350 horsepower electric pumps that are there. So we appreciate you working on us with the cost. I promise you're going to get it back when those bad boys are running. Again, thank you. That allowed us to be able to get the project through the construction or through the bidding phase without having to make major modifications in the budget. Moving over to the LaBranch Shoreline Protection Project. About 13,000 feet of shoreline in Lake Pontchartrain have now been protected by this shoreline project. This is in the northeast corner of St. Charles Parish. It actually starts on the Parish Line Canal, where you cross from Kenner into St. Charles Parish, and almost makes it all the way to the Wetland Watchers Park. So a really long run there. It's a $24 million improvement that's been put on by the CPRA. I went out there to see the final work that had been done, and I brought a good friend of mine, Mr. Milton Calm, who is turning 90, I think, at the end of this month, and has been a lifelong what he calls a radical conservationist for the LaBranch wetlands, and so he got to come out, and we let him toss the last rock there on the pile to complete the project. So that was a great day. This piece of marsh, I just want to say, has degraded significantly just during the engineering and construction of this project. And the project started around 2016 in its early, kind of its stage 0 phases. And so where they're laying the rock now is where the shoreline was. But the good news is that we've seen this type of protection work really well in other places, especially Lake Salvador, where the shoreline actually grew back out to meet the rocks. And we know that that's going to happen here. So we're excited to see this project done. And we want to keep going all the way up to the spillway on the other side. Okay. Next, we have our spillway waterline upgrades. As we know, we broke ground on this project earlier this year, but because of high water in the spillway and on the river, this project had to be halted. So, but it is back underway. And again, we're replacing or adding an additional line in addition to a line that's already out there. And we're going to be using HDPE, which is less likely to break than some of the old transite piping that has been out there for a long time. And so the new water line is going to be upgraded from 6 inches to 8 inches. It's going to be providing some extra capacity to the Muntz area. And the fact that we're going to be able to loop back around on the other side of the spillway is a good feature for not only reliability and water quality. Okay, we've been working hard to transition a lot of our lift stations from the old enclosed wet well pumps to now the submersible lift stations. What you see as a picture is River Oaks lift station. It's going to be about 80% complete at this time. Crews are currently pouring concrete tops to the wet wells, valve pits, and electrical service pads. This keeps things safe for our residents, as well as creating safe passage for our crews in the instances of the needs that they have to maintain the station. And this is a part of a parish-wide initiative to upgrade our aging infrastructure, improve the long-term performance of the wastewater system, and to try to meet the needs of the future. We've been making significant investments in wastewater. We have some more investments that need to be made soon. Okay, Keith mentioned it in his report there, but Oster opened the simulation lab. He didn't get to show you this great picture of me listening to the breathing sounds. She didn't make it, unfortunately, but it's okay. They reset it, and it'll go again. They stripped me from my honorary medical degree that they had given me about 5 minutes before that. Okay, King Cat Fishing Tournament. You heard about this earlier. I'm not going to belabor everybody, but again, it's Bonacary Spillway, September 20th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we hope to see you out there. And we thank Parks and Recreation for their help with this event every year. 2025 fall sports schedule practices for all fall sports have begun, and we're excited to see our athletes play in the coming weeks. Our Department of Parks and Recreation has officially released the 2025 fall sports schedule. Parents and coaches can view where their team will be playing this season on the Parks and Recreation website, www.scpparksandrec.com. And then we're going over to basketball registration is officially open. It's going to be open through September 19th. This is a hard deadline. I want to mention to the Parish Council that we have taken over all of the sign-ups on behalf of all the booster clubs to give some more consistency in this front-end experience when our residents are getting signed up. So all of the sign-ups are going through one link instead of each booster club having their own link. But again, for us to be able to put teams together and for us to be able to get coaches and everything else like that, we have to have a hard stop, a hard deadline so that we can start that next process once registration is completely over. So if you want to register at www.scpparksandrec.com/programs/booster clubs, you're going to still click on your booster club when you get on there, but it's all the same link, and you'll just fill that information out. The good news is that once you create a profile, that profile, and you put your children or your multiple children or just your child, their information in there. It's going to follow them as they age. So next year when they get back on, it's going to know that the child is a year older and only allow them to sign up for what they are accessible to. All right, National Public Lands Day in St. Charles Parish. Again, Parks and Rec will host a volunteer work day alongside the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the New Orleans District for the National Public Lands on Saturday, September 27th. It's going to start at 8 a.m. This event will be held at the Bonacary Spillway, located at 101 Lower Guide Levee Road in Norco. Volunteers will be conducting a cleanup of the park. They'll be planting trees, and that's been sponsored by Coastal Roots. So we thank Coastal Roots and our Army Corps of Engineers and our National Public Lands group for helping us do this. If you want to sign up and you want to attend, you have questions, you can give 985-764-7484 a call or email austin.leary, that's Leray, at usace.army.mil. That's through the Army Corps of Engineers. Last but certainly not least, for my report is the July sales tax numbers. Sales taxes were up 6.06% for July, and that's 2025 versus 2024. That's just over $230,000. To date, we are up 6.9% year over year, which represents about $1.8 million from last year to this year, a positive trend for the parish. And with that, I'm going to invite our folks from Entergy up. I think. Oh, I got you. Okay, Ms. Berg is going to come and give us a presentation on behalf of Entergy. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Thank you, Parish President Jewell, for the opportunity to come say a few words tonight and obviously speak directly to you and to our customers who live and work in this great parish. We're pleased tonight to formally announce our intention to construct 2 new efficient combined cycle electric generating facilities right here in St. Charles Parish, just right down the road in Kelowna. As you mentioned earlier this evening, we've got a proud history here in the state of safely generating and distributing electricity, certainly for 100 years across the state, 99 years here in St. Charles Parish. Thank you again for the opportunity to re-sign our franchise here. Certainly celebrate our Waterford 3 friends who are here today for acknowledging 40 years of service here in the parish. Over the last century, we've invested significantly, certainly, in our infrastructure here in St. Charles Parish and around the state and the communities we serve. As you know, we operate safely and efficiently several generating facilities here in St. Charles Parish, both at the Kelowna site, the Waterford footprint, where we've got our nuclear facility and other gas-fired generating facilities, and across the river in Monts, where we've got both the Little Gypsy site and the Jane Wade Leonard site. The units that we're proposing to build are going to be at the Kelowna site. They're named Waterford 5 and 6, and they'll complement certainly the units that we operate at the site today to safely generate electricity, both to power homes and businesses in this region and beyond. So I guess why here, why now? Our planning teams, we've got teams of engineers and planning folks back at the office who are constantly looking out into the future. Do we have enough infrastructure, poles, wires, generators to be able to meet the demand of our customers today and into the future? And these folks are quite busy right now. The demand for electricity, both here regionally and across the state, has been it's kind of unprecedented right now. What we're looking at, and it's a good problem to have, to be quite honest, as this parish knows better than most. When new businesses want to come and site and be good neighbors to the community in which you live and work, they bring with them opportunities, certainly new jobs, in many cases high-paying jobs. And help to sustain certainly a higher quality of life for everyone who calls the area home. So we consider it obviously a privilege to be here to serve both our existing customers and these new customers are choosing to make Louisiana their home. And these new facilities, Waterford 5 and 6, will allow us with the opportunity to reliably serve them into the future. Assuming that we're able to secure all of the required permitting to be able to start construction on these 2 facilities, Waterford 5 would be scheduled to commence commercial operation in late 2029, and Waterford 6, that would follow just right behind it, would start commercial operation in the summer of 2030. And again, at the site where we've got currently located our Waterford facilities, both gas-fired and nuclear facilities. So what does it mean for St. Charles Parish, for the residents of this great parish? This is a $2 billion plus investment. I think it's really more than the plus that's listed there, but each one of these sites over $1 billion to construct, certainly providing with it opportunities for local businesses to be a part of that. You know, our tax base here in St. Charles Parish is very strong, over $40 million, and that'll grow over the next several years. And this facility, Waterford 5 and 6, will contribute to that very significantly. Certainly hundreds of construction jobs over the next 4 to 5 year period, 700 plus. We're anticipating as we set the site, make ready the site, and then start vertical construction on each of those facilities. Looking into the future, right, into the 2029 and 2030 and beyond time frame, about 30 new jobs, and these are jobs like site operators, plant technicians, shift supervisors, plant leadership, with an average salary. We think it may be a little north of $75,000, $75,000 to $100,000 average salary plus benefits. And you know, certainly as an employer of choice in the parish, recognized for those benefits that we give back to our employees. Certainly improved quality of life, you know, continued investments from volunteerism, corporate social responsibility, and the like here within the parish. So just a little bit more about the technology. So the Waterford 5 and 6 facilities that we're proposing to build on this site will be combined cycle technology. So they will be gas-fired facilities that will also use steam that's recovered through the process of making the electricity to basically double down and make the plant even more efficient. So it will look a lot like the facility that we have in Monts, the J. Wayne Leonard facility, where you've got 2 turbines. Wayne Leonard is 3 each, but 2 turbines each for Waterford 5 and 6, a steam turbine and a gas turbine. Again, this site will be about 30% more efficient. So for every MMBTU of gas that we burn to make the electricity, it's doing it in a much cleaner, more efficient way than some of the legacy gas-fired plants that we have on our fleet. So again, more modern technology, clean technology, all supporting the local grid and serving hundreds of thousands of customers in this region and beyond. So I really wanted to put a big plug in tonight for the 2 open house events that we have coming out. Certainly we want to engage with this council and the administration of the parish to make you aware, but we really wanted to advertise to get the word out for residents in the parish. We want to engage with you at these open house events. We'll have some light refreshments. This is designed, we'll have folks from the project team available to answer specific questions about the design basis for the plant, what neighbors could expect, you know, what does it mean to build a combined cycle plant. We'll have all the engineers and project team folks there to be able to answer very specific questions. But we'll also have members of my team in attendance who can answer questions if a customer has a question about a bill or wants to learn more about the poles and wires in their backyard. Concerns, maybe a compliment, right? Maybe they want to pass along a shout out to a line worker who helped them along the way, or, you know, responded in a very safe or efficient way to an outage that may have happened recently. We're looking for everything and everything, right, in terms of feedback and engagement during these events. So really wanted to advertise this as an open house, certainly to talk about Waterford 5 and 6, but more broadly an opportunity for us to engage with residents in the parish. So next week, Wednesday the 17th, from 5 to 8 at the RPCC campus in Boutte. And then we certainly wanted to make sure that we had another opportunity to engage much closer to the site. So we appreciate the opportunity the Wednesday following to be able to engage over at the Kelowna Fire Department or the fire station to have kind of a same conversation. Light refreshments will be available, and you know, we can engage further and talk further about the project. So just a quick plug, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary as Entergy Louisiana and its predecessor company, LP&L, in the state. Part of that is a commitment, certainly, to reflect and celebrate the 100 years of service in the state, but to look forward and double down on continuing to make this a great state, giving back in terms of job creation, keeping rates low, investing in the grid to storm harden it, and make this a place where we can continue to attract and retain our youth and grow and develop the state over time. So on behalf of all my colleagues that are here in the room today, we've got a complement of 780, give or take, employees that work here in St. Charles Parish, another 300 and change that live and work in this parish. We thank y'all for the opportunity to be here tonight and certainly look forward to engaging further in more conversation about the sites. So with that, I'll wrap up, and if there's any questions, certainly willing to talk further today, or we can talk more over the next couple of weeks. But thank y'all very much for the opportunity tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. We do have one council member, Councilman Pillier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellent explanation. Are there any of the existing power plants going to be retired after these new plants are put online?
That's certainly something that we're constantly looking at. The planning team that I mentioned earlier, who's looking out into the future, we've got a commitment to keep rates low and to make sure that we're safely and operating our fleet into the future. So certainly bringing on new generators that are cleaner and more efficient in the way that they use the fuel source, whether it be natural gas or otherwise, and looking to see how generators that have served us well over decades and decades of service, how we can work to phase some of those out into the system. That's definitely part of our planning process into the future.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, everybody. We'll see y'all in a couple weeks.
Thanks. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, September 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the courthouse in Hornville. File number 2025-0259, file number 2025-0262, file number 2025-0267, file number 2025-0268, file number 2025-0269, file number 2025-0270, and file number 2025-0271. Ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at the previous meeting. File number 2025-0247, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with EJES Inc. for the design of the enlargement and deepening of the Kindler Street Canal located west of Kindler Street in Luling for the Kindler Street Canal improvements, project number P250705, in the amount not to exceed $52,101. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we started developing the project for the Kindler and Paul Frederick Street projects, which was drainage, we realized that we were going to need to do some more work on this particular canal. And looking at the timing of everything, we decided that it needed to be its own separate project. So this is just using the same engineer but entering into a new agreement so that we can keep this as a separate project so we can construct it when we can get it ready and have all the property, because we are going to need to acquire property for this project. We would appreciate your support on this. Thank you.
Thank you. File number 2025-0247 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? All right, please cast your votes for file number 2025-0247. And that passes unanimously. Persons to address the council. File number 2025-0265, Mr. Edward Email, boat launch on Highway 3127 in Hornville. Mr. Email, you have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Council, and Mr. Matt. I'm a resident of Hornville. Mr. Matt's aware of this. I don't know if all y'all aware of the boat launch that there is on Highway 3127. It was an unfortunate incident that went on there that tore the ramp up and now has made it inaccessible until something is done about it. Me and Mr. Matt talked through an email, and he assured me that he was definitely going to do everything as fast as he could, and I know he will. And but there's some things in the way. But in case y'all not aware, I've been launching this for 60 years, so there's a lot of things going on there you might not know. So I guess what I'm asking for tonight is y'all support in helping Mr. Matt and then the rest of his administration to do this, get this done and get it fixed. You know, hunting and fishing, it's a way of life in Louisiana. It's sports paradise. So hunting season's coming around. There's a hunting club back there has leased a lot of property, so they're going to be hindered. And, you know, that's kind of a shame because they wait for this all year. The launch also provides a lot of other services. The parish uses it to launch some of their equipment when we have problems down on that parish canal. That's a big thing for us because that's our drainage. And you already know, Matt, the problem we had at River Park, so that's a big concern for us, for y'all to be able to keep on going over there and doing those things. Also, there's a lot of there's pipelines down there. There's gas lines, oil lines, there's power lines, towers. A lot of things happen. People have to get to that. This is right there. This is really close to all these areas. It's one of the closest canals to get to Lake des Allemands. Now, you say, well, how does that matter? Well, if you're just a boater and you're looking for a good afternoon to go out boating, you can get out there. You can go to Lake Buff. You can go to places like this. Yes, I know we do have another boat launch, but in my opinion, and several other people, the one in des Allemands, the public launch, we appreciate the parish building that for us, but it's turned out to be a very dangerous little place. And if you launch there, there's a kind of a slight curve on both sides. People don't obey speed limits. We all know that. And we had an unfortunate accident there several months ago. A car T-boned the trailer, and the boat wound up on his car on the windshield. And the man he got messed up a little bit. And then foggy situations is even worse. Yes, we're going to have a big launch, and that's good. But, we live on the other end, so we have nothing. We have to travel that far. And actually, believe it or not, EMS, the police, sheriff's office, and wildlife and fisheries uses that launch. And I was there one night. I'm an old country boy, okay? So we were frogging one night. The boat had launched there, and they went frogging, and a guy got bit by a water moccasin. And that's not nothing funny about that. So that EMS was able to be right there. They were able to get him to that launch and get attention right away. So there's a lot of little things you might not think, that might not come to mind. I just wanted to make you all aware of that for whatever it's worth. It's worth a lot to us. And I know Mr. Matt's going to do everything he can. I've seen him in action already. He's a man of his word. So we have no doubts in that. The other little thing I would like to say, if I got time, this is not a unique problem for a boat, for a car to back into the bayou when he's launching his boat. This happens more often than you think it does. In fact, a friend of mine at work told me he just had a situation in Venice this past weekend. It took about 4 hours to get it out. But what is unique about it is that the way it was handled, the person who went in there to get this vehicle out of there, you can't just jerk until something gives loose. And that's, I think, kind of happened over there. The trailer got hung up from what I think, Matt might know better than me, but that trailer got hung up on the pad down there, and it picked it up and it busted it. You could have did a lot of different things. You could have had some kind of floating device, a boat trailer, 1,200 pounds. You could have floated that up with a couple of 55-gallon drums or something. He didn't have to just do that. And from what I understand, this isn't the first time this gentleman has done that. He had a situation happen in Bayou Gauche, and he did the same thing over there. So I'm not picking on him. I'm saying this to say, I don't know how you would resolve that problem, but I guess when you get in that position, you call who you want. But there seems to be, maybe there's some kind of way to maybe have someone available that can do something like that instead of this happening again. But like I said, I'm supporting our parish president with this, and I know he's trying to do it as fast as he can. But hunters and fishermen, they can't do it fast enough.
Okay,
but I
Mr.
appreciate
Email.
everything y'all doing. And I'm a commercial fisherman as
Mr.
well.
Email, you've run out of time. Do you need additional?
Just 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, we're going to have to take a vote on that. So just pause for 1 second for me. Okay. All right, a motion and a second are needed. We have a motion by Councilwoman O'Daniel, second by Councilwoman Wilson. Please cast your votes to extend Mr. Email's time by an additional 3 minutes.
Thank you. So like I said, our commercial fish.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
All right, and that passes unanimously. You may continue, Ms. Email.
This ain't my first.
You may continue.
My first time here.
All right.
But anyway, our commercial fishing, it really helps me and a few other people I know do that. We get to the lake real quick and we get back home. it's a little treacherous to go through Bayou des Almas and all the way down the bayou into the lake. When we go in, it gets really rough out there. Okay, and it's nighttime when we're coming back. So I mean, it's kind of that's why another reason why it's important to us. But anyway, I thank y'all for giving me this time. I know y'all got a lot of bigger fish to fry. I've been sitting here tonight, and there's great things going on in Parish, and I appreciate all of that as well. So
Okay.
that's it. Thank
Parish
y'all.
President Jewell.
Any questions?
Well, yeah, so I just want to. We do have fish to fry, but unfortunately, you have no fish to fry because you can't launch your boat.
Thank you.
And so we're trying to remedy that. I just wanted to give you and the council an update on where we are with this right now. So, unfortunate accident happened. The parish has put a lot of money into this boat launch over the many years that we've been there. There's been some trade of or changes of property ownership lately. And so because we've basically been using it but don't quite own it, we wanted to make sure that we get some stuff in place. So, and I've gotten some assurances that we're working in the right direction. So Corey's working with the state because they own the portion where the actual launch is in the canal, because that was a laydown yard as a part of the 3127 project. I have Louis Martinez from GIS. He's working with a contractor to figure out how long we have to make the actual launch. Now, there's two ways to do this, and I'm going to tell you why we're doing the other way. One way is you basically lay a slab and then you push it in. And what we're trying to do is push it as far into the canal as possible so that there's no way that someone can get their trailer tires off the backside of it. The only other way to do it would be to make a coffer dam around it, de-water it, and do it that way. That's much more expensive. And what I'd like to do is once we have some of these insurances in place, so I just want you to know we are working to remedy that in Recreation, and Darren is working on that as well. To get that done, we can get launching again, but we want to get some of those agreements in place with the property owner. So Bobby Raymond in legal is also working with one of the property owners to get that in place. What I would suggest, and our goal first is to get everybody launching, but once we get those agreements in place, that the parish consider, or the council consider appropriating money to allow us to maybe blacktop that parking lot, add some additional lighting out there, solar lighting, nothing too crazy, and just make it a little bit nicer and safer at night for folks who are coming back. So things are in the works. We're going to try to get it done as fast as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Email. Resolutions. File number 2025-0264. A resolution to approve and authorize the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana and St. Charles Parish for funding to complete the Primrose Canal Sheet Pile Project, Facility Planning and Control Project number 50-J45-25-01. Ms. Shessel.
Good evening. So St. Charles Parish was awarded $477,000 in state capital outlay funding to go towards the Primrose Canal Sheet Pile Project, the next phase of that project. So that project, it looks like it's going to be going to construction soon, hopefully by the end of the year. And this resolution is just your approval for the parish to enter into an agreement with the state for the funds.
Okay.
Also, I just wanted to clarify one thing. The state's budget has $500,000 in the act for this project, but they do retain a small administrative fee. So what's going to actually come to the parish is the $477 amount that I talked about. Thank you.
Right. File number 2025-0264 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Parish President Jewell.
Carl, I just want to say thanks to you and your team on the administrative side for all you guys do to put this together. The first phase of this project came out really well. We're really excited to get the second phase started later this year. And on the political side of this, I want to say thanks to Beth Billings, Greg Miller, and Connick and Associates for helping us get this across the finish line. Each year when we go to the legislative session, we try to look at projects that may be a little short or projects that are ready to go that we can throw some extra funding into that kind of helps us stretch the dollar even further. So thanks.
All right. Please cast your votes for file number 2025-0264. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0266, a resolution to approve and authorize the execution of a grant agreement between the United States Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration and St. Charles Parish for funding in the amount of $200,000 to be utilized for the St. Charles Parish Safe Streets and Roads for All Action Plan. Ms. Chasson.
Yes, so St. Charles Parish was awarded a $200,000 Safe Streets for All grant to complete a parish-wide Safe Streets and Roads for All action plan. So this plan will be completed using crash data statistics and public input to create a list of safety improvement projects that we can then use to apply for future grant funds to construct some projects. And this resolution is also for your approval and for the parish to enter into an agreement with the Federal Highway Administration for these funds. Thank you.
All right. File number 2025-0266 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2025-0266. And that passes unanimously. Appointments. File number 2025-0220, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 1. The nominee was Mr. Lloyd Bourgeois, but Mr. Bourgeois has withdrawn his consideration to serve on the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee due to concerns that his appointment may constitute a conflict of interest and/or create the appearance of the same. Council Chairman will accept nominations to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Ms. Sarah Thigpen. It's a 2-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2027. Are there any nominations? Councilwoman O'Daniel. All right, thank you, Councilwoman O'Daniels. Are there any other nominations? All right, seeing no other nominations at this time per Rule 40, I've confirmed that all members have had an opportunity to submit an individual to be nominated. A motion and a second are needed to close nominations. We have a motion by Councilman Fisher, a second by motion by Councilman Carmerdale, second by Councilman Fisher. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0222, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 2. The council will confirm the nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Mr. Charles A. Smith. It's a 2-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2027. The nominee is Mr. John P. Rome, Jr. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Mr. John P. Rome, Jr. to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 2. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0224, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 3. Council will confirm nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Mr. Ray Mathern. It's a 3-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2028. The nominee is Mr. Lloyd L. Landry IV. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Mr. Lloyd L. Landry IV to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 3. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0226, resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 4. Council will confirm nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Mr. Craig N. Molason. 3-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2028. The nominee is Mr. Barry Guillat. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Mr. Barry J. Guillat to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 4. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0227, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 5. The council will confirm the nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy created by the late Mr. Arthur W. Carlson, Jr. It's a 4-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2029. The nominee is Mr. Luis Martinez. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Mr. Luis A. Martinez to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 5. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0228, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 6. The council will confirm the nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy. It's a 4-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2029. The nominee is Mr. Patrick Ryan Lambert. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Mr. Patrick Ryan Lambert to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 6. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0229, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 7. Council will confirm nomination to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee to fill the vacancy. It's a 4-year term to begin September 23rd, 2025 and expire September 23rd, 2029. The nominee is Dr. Courtney H. Babin. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Dr. Courtney H. Babin to the St. Charles Parish Coastal Zone Advisory Committee as member 7. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0235, a resolution appointing a member to the Industrial Development Board of the Parish of St. Charles. Council Chairman will accept nominations to the Industrial Development Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Jeffrey Lemoyne Jr., 6-year term to begin October 1st, 2025 and expire October 1st, 2031. Are there any nominations? Councilman Commerdale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to nominate Mrs. Sam Elliott Jr.
Okay. We have nomination by Mr. Samuel Elliott Jr. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations at this time, per Rule 40, I've confirmed that all members have had an opportunity to submit an individual to be nominated. Motion and a second are needed to close nominations. We have a motion by Councilman Pillier, second by Councilwoman O'Daniels. Please cast your votes to close nominations. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0236, a resolution appointing a member to the Industrial Development Board of the Parish of St. Charles. Council Chairman will accept nominations to the Industrial Development Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Zach Young. It's a 6-year term to begin October 1st, 2025 and expire October 1st, 2031. Are there any nominations?
I would like to nominate Zach Young for that position.
Thank you, Councilwoman Skiba. Are there any other nominations? All right, seeing no other nominations at this time, per Rule 40, I've confirmed that all members have had the opportunity to submit an individual to be nominated. A motion and a second are needed to close the nominations. Got a motion by Councilwoman DeBrouillet, a second by Councilman Commerdale. Please cast your votes to close the nominations. And that passes unanimously. A resolution appointing, file number 2025-0245, a resolution appointing a member to the Industrial Development Board of the Parish of St. Charles. Council Chairman will accept nominations to the Industrial Development Board to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of the term of Mr. Corey Fauché, unexpired term to begin immediately and expire on October 1st, 2027. Are there any nominations? Councilman Pillier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to nominate Patrick Beard.
All right, thank you, Councilman Pillier. Councilman Pillier is nominating Mr. Patrick Beard. Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing no other nominations at this time per Rule 40, I've confirmed that all members have had the opportunity to submit an individual to be nominated. A motion and a second are needed to close the nominations. We have a motion by Councilwoman DeBrouillet, a second by Councilwoman O'Daniels. Please cast your votes to close nominations. That passes unanimously. File number 2025-0260. Accept the resignation of Mr. Corey Fauché, River Parish Transit Authority. Please cast your vote to accept the resignation of Mr. Corey Fauché on the River Parish's Transit Authority. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0261, a resolution appointing a member to the River Parish's Transit Authority. On Monday, September 22nd, 2025, the Council Chairman will accept nominations to the River Parish Transit Authority to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of the term of Mr. Corey Fauché. Unexpired term to begin immediately and expire January 9th, 2028. The term is concurrent with the governing authority. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings. The Community Action Advisory Board will meet Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 at 5 p.m. here in the Council Chambers. Pontchartrain Levy District will meet Monday, September 15th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Pontchartrain Levy District Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue in Lutcher. The Library Board of Control will meet Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in the Council Chambers. The Board of Adjustment, ZBA, will meet Thursday, September 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Council Chambers. And our council will meet on Monday, September 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Council Chambers. Announcements. The Board of Review, St. Charles Parish, the Parish Council will be sitting as a Board of Review September 24th through October 8th, 2025. The 2025 assessment lists, written or oral protests must be received by the Parish Council office by September 29th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Public hearings to consider the proposed 2026 capital and consolidated operating budget are scheduled for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 9 a.m., Thursday, October 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m., and Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Adjournment. A motion and a second are needed to adjourn. We have a motion by Councilwoman DeBrouillet, second by Councilwoman O'Daniels. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that passes unanimously. Have a great evening. We are officially adjourned.